Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Rita. I hope you all are doing well. So today I'm going to talk about the concept of the high value man and why I think it's problematic.
Being high value doesn't necessarily deal with morality. Does he have status? Does he have respect from peers?
The high value man is this concept that we've seen a lot of people like Andrew Tate and others promote.
What do you have that make people know you're truly a man? What do you have? I can name some things, right? People walk in my house, they can see, okay, I'm financially successful. They look at my body, they know I'm motivated, disciplined, I'm extremely strong. They look at my world title belts, they know I can fight. They look at the woman on my arm, they know that I am worthy of respect.
Now, the high value man, from what I can discern online, seems to be a man who is an entrepreneur, who is chasing the bag, they say, or chasing money, who is resourceful, who is taking care of his family and taking care of his business. But there's a real high focus on earning. And there is something in this that in this movement that rings of pride and vanity and arrogance. And here's what I mean by that. And I feel like the high value man concept and the modern woman concept have this in common.
We're seeing a trend of women dating down, which means, you know, a man who...
Dating down.
Really?
Who wrote that?
I mean, I say all that.
Jeez.
Disgruntled.
Dating
This
down.
is just the reality of it. So women, you know, we're more educated now, and I think that we're furthering our education. So with that being said, we're going to hold off on the baby making. We're going to hold off until we get that great job, really career driven. And I don't think there's anything wrong with hoping that there's someone either on your level or higher than you.
Both the high value man and the modern woman, I feel like, are two sides of the same coin. And let me explain why I think this. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but that's fine. You know, we're all entitled to our opinion and our beliefs. But here's what I think about it. Both the high value man and the modern woman are both highly focused on money and status.
You would have to make a salary of over 6 figures. You would have to be in a network for over maybe 4 to 5 years, networking with guys who are on the same level or above. You would have to have a brand, an image that projects influence on a mass of men that want to be like you or are inspired by you. It's all about inspiration and your brand and your image.
The high value man concept says that all men want status. And if they can't have status, then they feel like less of a man of some sort, which is really strange to me, especially for me coming from a Christian worldview. This is problematic. From a biblical standpoint, a man should first love God and be a man of high integrity. But according to the high value man concept, a man desires money and status overall. And the woman, the modern woman, also desires that, plus she desires that her man have money and status. That's number one. Number two, the number two problem I have with this are people seem to be viewed as assets, i.e. like, how can I maximize whatever I'm trying to get with this person? How is this person a value add? So there's a very corporate business type of business language that seems to be used often when we talk about this concept of what a high value man is.
An adult human male that's greater than normal importance or usefulness to what? The group. Basic economic principle states that the value of something is what a market is willing to pay for it. The value is determined by what? The market. And when we're talking about individuals, the market is other people, men or women. So a high value man is completely determined by the market.
So like I said, viewing people as assets seems to be very predominant, which is interesting to me because we've seen our society. I think we could probably all agree that our society has moved very much toward consumerism. We are this is a consumer society where the value we place on goods and services have been completely degraded, right? Something breaks, we buy a new one. If it doesn't even have to break, we just want a new one because we want a new one. So the value placed upon things is very low. The value placed upon service, right? And I don't know how many of you have been out to eat lately, but and I'm somebody with a service industry background, and I can tell you the service aspect and how we view services has been completely degraded. Like the service industry overall, there is this real disdain for serving and for services, which again, to me is a very, not just to me, but is a very anti-Christian view, is to not want to serve. Now, I will say this high value man concept does talk about serving, but again, a lot of things are very inwardly focused. It's really based on doing these virtuous, so-called virtuous acts in order to have a better life, so to speak. Not that there's anything wrong with doing good, but it all seems to be because you feel like they will add some sort of value to your life, but not for the sake of righteousness in the eyes of God. So it's very different. The other thing that I want to talk about is this idea of hierarchies. Okay, there seems to be a hierarchy of the have and the have-nots.
The biggest problem with men today is that I think the world is becoming hyper competitive. Most men are not aware and understanding of how quickly there's going to be a genuine shift in between those who have things and those who do not have things. Not just finances, but also female status, everything else. And it's a status game, right?
Okay?
And
if you are not the man who is chasing to be a millionaire, and if you are not the man who is an entrepreneur and wearing nice suits, then you automatically fall into what category? So the inference is, if you're not a high value man, you're a low value man. The man of great integrity who is working a skilled trades job, or the man who is doing something that's not entrepreneurial, that's just working a regular job, doesn't seem to be seen as a high value man. Now, why is this problematic? Let's look at the term value and let's determine what is value, the definition of value. So I have in my dictionary here, an amount, the first definition, and it's a noun, and it says an amount as of goods, services, or money considered to be a fair and suitable equivalent for something else, a fair price or return. The second definition, monetary or material worth, the value of, as in the value of gold. Third definition, worth in usefulness or importance to the possessor, utility or merit. Number 4, a principle, standard, or quality considered worthwhile or desirable, i.e. family values. We had to get 4 definitions down before we even started talking about something even resembling something to do with humans. So this is the other problem I see with the high value man concept, is who's setting the value? Is this value according to like dictionary definition of value? Because if that's the case, again, we have a problem with looking at people as assets and commodities and not as people. Because my Bible tells me that people are created in the image of God. So what you're saying is, if I don't have these resources, or if I'm not chasing the bag, I'm not of great value. So what does that say then to these young men? And this is my main thing, any age man, but specifically young men and women. What is it saying to them that unless you are Andrew Tate, unless you're one of these people speaking this high value man, modern woman stuff, then where does that place you? Does that mean you are not of value? Because that's the implication. And I wholeheartedly reject that. All people have value. There is no such thing as a high value person. Now, if you want to talk about the values that a person holds to, then that's different. That's different than actually placing value on a person because of some monetary, some monetary scale that you've conjured up. But to say whether somebody is high value or not based on resources is full of vanity and arrogance and narcissism, which is something that we see a lot in our society anyway. If you're a Christian, you have to know this is idolatry, right? And it's not enough for you to just be a man of integrity. Like I said, take care of your family, pay your bills, like just make sure you're a man of ethics, who mean what you say. Yeah, part of that is a high value man, but where it gets skewed is the monetary aspect of it. You can be poor and be a man with great values. There's another aspect of this high value man movement that I have heard expressed in a sort of misogynistic way as well. I can get any woman I want because I'm a high value man. And it's like, well, are you, if that is your take on things, that this is what you desired, if this is what you think makes a high value man, a man with a lot of money and who can run through women.
And if you want to go ahead and bring another girl to the situation, I will assist you in doing that.
Well, is that valuable? Who's that valuable to? Where is the love and fear of God in this concept of the high value man that we see online? Where is love for your neighbor? Not just the people in your tribe, because this is a term that they use a lot too, people in your circle, people in your tribe. No, but where's the love for your neighbor in this? Where is the compassion in the high value man concept? Where is the humility? There appears to be a lot of braggadociousness.
Ego is extremely important. It's either a superpower or it's your detriment. If you have an ego that you work hard to justify, then it is a superpower.
There's a lot of that, but where is the humility, the real humility? And also, where is the redemption? There is no redemption. There is no, like this idea of body count. That's also a part of this conversation with the high value man. People discussing how many, if you don't know what that, aren't familiar with this, people who discuss, or people who feel like it's their duty to know how many, partners you've had. But it is not decent to walk around talking about body counts. And because at the end of the day, how many is too many? 1, 2, 3? How many is too many? 1 seems to me like you've already crossed over. You've already engaged in fornication. So why are we having this conversation? This to me is another form of trying to place value on someone. If you've had a kid, if you've been married before and you're a certain age, and who's setting all these rules? Like you're irredeemable. There is no redemption in this high value man movement. Like my grandma would cringe if she were alive today and heard people talking about stuff like how many people you've slept with. She wouldn't believe if she could see all of the interactions that go on today between men and women. I just think it's unladylike. It's indecent. If a guy is wanting to know that, that means that he is probably viewing people as assets and things and commodities rather than humans. It seems to be that placing value on people, well, this is an age-old concept, right? Because our human nature is naturally sinful and naturally wants to place people in hierarchies. That's our human nature. This idea, I think, has really been pushed by academia, politicians, and an elite class of people who, at the end of the day, have a certain level of disdain for just your everyday Joe. That you're somehow less intelligent.
Give me a break. Anybody who can throw coal into a furnace can learn how to program, for God's sake.
Well, there are a whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities, who don't, there's no Kinko's, there's no Office Max near them.
Here's what I want to say to all of my men out here who are just going to work day to day, a man of integrity, blue collar men who don't even know what this high value man concept is because they don't have time, because they're not all over the interwebs talking about what it means to be masculine. They're just out there getting it done and taking care of their families. So my hat's off to you men. The other thing is, I feel like this high value man, modern woman view doesn't allow for people to be different, much like a lot of other movements in our society. It doesn't allow for God to call people to different things in life. It doesn't allow for the handyman and the CEO. It only allows for the CEO. And the handyman is just some guy who got caught in a loop of whatever. But it never takes into consideration that God has created us all differently. and that God has called some people to different areas in life. And God has gifted people differently. The skilled tradesmen actually like tinkering. They like working with their hands. It also doesn't dawn on these people that you can make a great living doing these things and take care of a family in this long drawn out way. What am I trying to say? This high value man concept. Are there some redeeming qualities as it, pushes away from this kind of idea that men aren't supposed to be providers? Because we have a lot of effeminate men, especially these younger ones coming up in society, and a lot of them are directionless. They don't understand what their roles are. So yeah, I think it provides value. I think it provides value in the way that it tells men it's okay to be masculine. It's okay you should provide for your family. I think those are good virtues and those are good things. However, what I think it misses is this idea of idolizing money. Right? The love of money is the root of all types of evil, the Bible tells us. To place people in hierarchies and to say some have value and some do not. So I think that's where the movement goes wrong. So I want to encourage you, young men and women, and just men and women in general. If this is a man of great integrity, if this is a man who loves God and is willing and wants to do the will of God, this is not a man who needs to chase the bag. Christian man, this high value man, modern woman, all this stuff, this is not for you. This should be out of the purview of what Christian men and women are aspiring toward, because your high value man should be a man who loves God. If you're a female, who wants to be pleasing to the Lord, who wants to walk in righteousness. That's it. If he's doing those things, you don't have to worry about if he's going to take care of the household. You don't have all of these things follow a man whose heart is set on God. And if you're a man, your values should be a woman who loves God, because if she loves God, then she's going to respect you and she's going to want to take care of her household. The concept of the high value man is devoid of Christ, devoid of a focus on God.
Being high value doesn't necessarily deal with morality.
The modern woman and body counts and bag chasing and all that stuff, to me, is just an extension of the vanity and consumerism and pride of the culture that we're in, and that if you are a God-fearing person, the Bible says you can't love God and love money at the same time. It just all seems very unbiblical to me. That's the end. That's all I wanted to talk about today. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, ciao. God bless.